Hi everyone, Bachu here from Recording Studio 9 and thanks for joining me again today. I was just about to master a song, and during my mastering process I want to use my external compressor, which is the ART Pro VLA tube compressor. And I thought while I'm actually doing it, I might do a video and show you how I actually set the whole process up, because it's not an easy process as just dragging a plugin into your main mix bus. It's a bit more complicated than that, but the results are much better than plugin. Well, to my ears anyway. So I'll show you how it works. Now in this example, I'm going to use Studio One Pro, and which comes with a plugin called Pipeline that is basically a VST plugin that you put into any of the channels, including buses, and then that redirects the audio into your audio interface, and then you have a return back as well. The same procedure is also available in Pro Tools, in Cubase, Cakewalk by BandLab, Reaper, and a few other DAWs as well, but not all of them. So depending on which DAW you're using. I'm not going to go through the software setup process. I'll probably do that at a later date. But basically, to explain, the audio from my main mix bus will come out into my audio interface. And on my audio interface, I'm going to be using outputs 5 and 6 from my Studio 1824. And then the audio signal that's coming out will actually go into my tube compressor. And the output of the tube compressor will go back in as inputs 5 and 6 on my audio interface and back into the bus channel. Now, for me to allow flexibility, my audio interface, the Studio 1824 by PreSonus, is connected to my patch bay. You might see just under there. And all of my outboard gear, like my Pro VLA tube compressor and a few other hardware, which are sort of down below, I will show you in a minute, are all connected to my patch bay. And by using patch leads, I can actually connect the output of my audio interface into the input of the tube compressor, and the output of the tube compressor gets fed in back to the input of my audio interface. If you want to know more about patch bays, then I do have a video. You can either visit my website or click the link somewhere here. I don't know, there or there, which I can never work it out, but I'm sure you can find it out. Now this is my ART Pro VLA Mach 2 tube compressor. So the input and the output of this unit is actually connected to my patch bay. When you are using outboard gear on your tracks or on your channels, let's say on your vocals or your guitars, it's quite simple because you've got input and output, a single mono in and out. But it becomes a little bit more complicated and an extra task if you are doing a master bus, because you have two channels and you got to make sure that you've got the signal part all balanced so that the signal from the left and the right are the same level going out and coming back in. So how do we make sure that it's balanced left and right? Well, this is what this video is going to cover, and I hope I'll be able to explain it for you. Like many dual channel compressors, the Pro VLA as included, they have an option called stereo link. So when you press that stereo link button, the settings from channel A is duplicated into channel B. So that way, when you're adjusting threshold, when you are adjusting the attack and release and ratio, by using just channel A's settings, it gets duplicated to channel B so that you don't have to worry about balancing those options. So make sure that you actually do click the link button in, unless you actually want to have separate adjustments. But a lot of the time, if you are mastering the stereo bus, you want to have that stereo link enabled. Now down there, the Pro VLA is all fine with the stereo link. The next problem is our audio interface. The 1824 has 8 inputs, and each of the 8 inputs have input gain. Now, how do we make sure that the signal coming back from our compressor is actually balanced? There's no way to tell by just putting them, at a certain level that we have the left and right signal coming back is actually balanced as it left out. And for that, we need to use test tone. So we're going to send a test tone from our DAW on both left and right. And the test tone usually has the same level on left and the right, coming out of our main mix bus. That's going to go out into our outboard compressor and then come back in. And on the way in, we'll be able to adjust the input gain levels and make them match the left and the right so they are all the same. And we can use any VU meter to make sure that what's coming in is the same level as what's going out. In Studio One, I basically added a new blank audio channel, and on that channel I insert a plugin called Tone Generator. And the tone generator, I set it a frequency of 440 Hertz. Came with that. It doesn't matter. You can normally put at 1 kilohertz as well, but 440 Hertz, it's much more bearable than the 1K tone in your ears as you're adjusting it. And it's a sine waveform. So a sine waveform at certain frequency, at certain level, will be generated. And that's the only thing that's going to be on at adjustment time. So a tone generated at certain level going out, then we can measure the input with our VU meters and then adjust the input gain knob to actually get balanced. So I'll show you how that's done. I don't have screen capture because of my big screen. Unfortunately, I cannot capture it. It'd be too big, but I'm sure the idea is the same because you could be using any other DAW. So I've got my tone generator, my pipeline XT, and it's all set correctly to go in and out, inputs 5 and 6. And after the pipeline, I do have a VU meter. And this VU meter will tell me the signal level coming back from my compressor and from audio interface. I don't need to have the level too high because we're not working with output speaker levels. Let's turn it on. So we have a tone. The tone is generated at 0 dB. And Pipeline XT does mention what the level is. And my fader volume is at minus 12 dB. So basically I'm sending a minus 12 dB signal into my ART. Now, even at minus 12 dB, my Pro VLA input signal is still quite high. It's giving me plus 3 dB. So what I might do is actually might reduce that a little bit further. Okay. Now, my Pro VLA input signal is showing at pretty much 0 dB. Let's have a quick look. And that's my input signal. I hope you could actually see the needles on the VU meters. So now I'm going to adjust the input of 5 and 6, the gain knobs, until my VU meter shows. So now I can put it on minus 1 dB. But the scaling is up to you. Depends how much level do you want coming back in. But the most important thing is getting those two VU meters, the needles, exactly the same. So that way, now we know we're sending a balanced signal out and adjusting the input gains, we are now getting balanced signal coming back in. So move the camera a bit closer. Well, now I can actually turn off the tone and my signal part is ready. I don't have to touch the gain knobs because I know they are correct. And the next thing I got to do is, as I'm playing the track, I can adjust my settings of how I want the compressor to react. in most cases, you know, it's going to be very, very gentle compression in there. I just want the tonality of those tubes coming in to my track, and then do a master recording. So that's how you get it, everything set up and adjusted. Now there's one thing about using outboard gear, is everything is in real time. Unlike plugins, you cannot do it offline. It has to be online. So every time you gotta process through it, you gotta listen to it all the way through. So it is time consuming, but the result, you know, is different. And that's what I like about it. So what you normally do is, once you are happy with the settings, is print it out. So update your mastering file if you're using it as a song project, or export it as WAV file, and then you got printed. So you don't have to use your outboard gear every single time after that. Okay, now that we got all printed, now the project is, well, the song is imported into Studio One project. So because I've got multiple songs of the same artist, now I can have a listen and see what it sounds like, and hopefully very soon this will be distributed on iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, whatever, and all of those distributed platforms. So that's how I use my outboard gear to give it a little bit of analog warmth, analog character into my song, even though the song is EDM. So I guess putting a little bit more, you know, analog vintage sound in there. So I hope this was helpful. If it was, make sure you give me the thumbs up. And if you do have any comments about the setup that wasn't clear, comment below, and I'm more than happy to answer them for you. And I hope that in the future I will make a video on PreSonus Studio One Pipeline XT, which is a new version, which is updated version, works much, much better than the previous one. Hopefully I'll be able to actually make a video on that as well. So if you want to see that, please comment below and make sure you like this video, and that will encourage me to actually make that video as well. Till next time, as always, thanks for watching and have a great time making music. Cheerio, guys.